and then we'll see if anyone comes with any comments on it.
Crazy X's.
Crazy X's and stuff. So
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we went for food.
Did you?
Last night. Went to
Was that my alarm, by the way? Fucking delayed to fuck. Do we actually hear that then when that's happening? Or are you gonna? Cool.
It's gonna mute it off.
So what? You went
we just went up to the orange tree last night in Congleton. Something different. Me and Josh went up. It's nice. Food's all right there.
Is it? What is that on the? Oh yeah, I know what
It's
that is.
on, just on the second roundabout.
Yeah. How's that business going on?
Fine. So the website's just been finished.
Yeah.
We'll pick the flyers up on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I think we've decided that we're going to go down the corporate route rather than the general public.
Yeah.
I think it'll be easier to deal with.
No fuck around.
Not got strangers coming and going to your unit all the time. So we can get we spoke to a couple of garages and they'll block book. They say, we'll commit to 5, 3, 4 spaces and we do them a discount and they pay monthly. And then they just use it as and when they contact us and use it, or we have special cards in. Oh, live? Going live. Excellent.
Cool.
Welcome to our very first.
Just checking connection. You're live now,
Yeah. Welcome to our very first Gym Bros live, uncut and uncensored. Uncut and uncensored. That's what's going on in your underpants, innit?
No comment. Don't see anything hanging out, can you? No.
So yeah, we thought we'd give it a try going, doing a little experiment, see how we get on. We're doing a little live broadcast.
Yeah.
And obviously we're broadcasting live. Tate's gonna let us shout us if we've got any questions, if anyone wants to ask us anything. But I think we'll start off just talking about anything that we've observed this week that's annoyed you or come up. I was mentioned it to you before, I was talking about, obviously we just finished the Olympics.
Yeah.
And the thing that I noticed, which was prevalent, that's come from this kind of Olympics, was that there's a lot of thirsty women out there. So all I seem to see all over my social media feeds was stories put up there by the media with regards to guys with bulges in the pants, and there was the pole vaulter that knocked his finger off with his wiener. And then it's just women, and it's like they've never seen a penis before. They're just commenting.
I mean, they might not have.
They might not have. Some of them might not have. But I was thinking, okay, it's humorous. It's obviously a bit of fun and everything. But if it was the other way around, and the media was totally focused on, let's say, women's long jump or women's athletics, where they still wear the little sports pants, sports knickers, how would it be portrayed? How would it be perceived if it was guys that were just saying, oh, look at that, just putting pictures up? If that was spread all over, because that wasn't all over social media, nothing like that was. It was just, it just seemed to be these two guys, basically. I mean, what do you think of that?
I think women are just protected. Women they're just seen as, unfortunately, in the media they try to portray them as the weaker sex. So we can't say nothing about women because it'll offend them. And it's like, no, there's actually a lot of women out there that'll give as good as they get.
Yeah.
So I think that in itself is offensive. I think the equality is just not there.
It's a bit of a mismatch at the moment, isn't it?
It's a shame.
Equality.
Really.
It's okay for women. I saw another thing online. I was reading about this girl. Well, there was 2 videos I saw. There was one girl who went on holiday. I think we've spoken about it before, and she tried to sleep with something like 20 guys in 20 days or something. I saw that.
Yeah.
And that's being pitched as it's empowering. Oh, it's my body, my choice. Okay. And then there was another one that I saw the other day which popped up, and it was a woman, American lady, who's trying to sleep with every nationality.
Right.
And I think she's been around about 40 different nationalities.
Yeah.
And she was being interviewed by another woman. And again, it was being praised. And they were talking about it quite frankly and this, that, and the other. And I was like, but if it was a guy that was doing it, it wouldn't be appropriate. It'd be labelled like a chauvinist. Yeah. A misogynist or user of women. So there seems to be this imbalance at the moment. I
don't know. I think the goalposts are constantly shifting in society. I don't know. I was brought up to remember that women are, you respect women, they're respectful. A woman sleeps with 40 guys. She's not as, respectful as, say, a woman that's only ever slept with 3 guys in her life and constantly been in committed relationships. So I don't know. I think there's definitely different goalposts for men and women. Women are definitely judged more than men, 100%. A guy'd literally sleep with 300 women, and you know.
Oh, that's always been the case.
Yeah,
it's a lad. Always a lad. He is.
Yeah.
And it's I think that's a cultural thing, isn't it? But now that's kind of shunned as well. Like that's not. Obviously, it's quite funny because we were discussing this last night while I was out, and we were saying that I think that in general, males and females of the younger generation, they're more sexually promiscuous than like I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
So girls would be labelled something particular if they slept around, but it was okay for guys, and that's never really changed. I think that's still how it's perceived.
Yeah.
But is it now the fact that did it go on?
And it's just not
spoken about because obviously there wasn't social media. That wasn't as prevalent.
Yeah.
Whereas now there's more people out there speaking about it. And that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think ignorance is bliss in that department.
Yeah.
And I feel what you don't know can't affect you. You know, nobody wants to be with someone that has, you know, been the, as they say, local pipe. Whether it be a male or female, know, because I think then becomes the stigma
attached to it, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think the more you think into it, how can you commit to a relationship when you've just spent the last 5 years running around and playing hard to tackle? You know what I mean? It just doesn't add up, and there's going to be insecurities there and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think everyone in an ideal world wants somebody that's got, as they say, a low body count. You know, has always been in a committed relationship or something like that. I think that's an ideal scenario.
I think it comes back to that premise that you want something that's special.
Yeah.
It's like you go and buy a car. You're buying a used car. What do you look for?
Yeah.
Full service history and low mileage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Literally low mileage.
It is. It's kind of the same, and it's the same with everything. If you're buying something, you know, pre-owned, you're always looking to get the best for your money. That's kind of what it is.
Such a shame that we're referring to people as pre-owned, but yeah, everyone's got a past, haven't they? Whether it be good or bad.
Yeah, exactly. But that kind of brings me on to the next thing that's like really bothered me, like this week. So I've seen this thing that Labour government are on about bringing in a pay-per-mile road tax. You've seen that?
Yes, I've seen that. Yeah. But that affects and doesn't affect, doesn't it? Because what they're trying to scam it as is, it's to help with the offset of not making any money on electric vehicles. So
they're going about taxing electric vehicles.
So what they're going to try to do is do a whole spectrum now where everyone's governed the same. Because because remember I said to you that the only way that they get them is to do it through mileage.
Yeah.
Because there's no way they can get them for emissions.
But how's that going to affect professional drivers, taxi drivers, couriers?
I'd imagine they'd have to
drivers.
put something in place like a payment plan, like pay so much for
sales reps, that kind of thing. Yeah. They're obviously doing like your average white. I was talking to a friend of mine who sells vans, and we were having a discussion about people coming to buy vans, and it goes back to that mileage thing again. Yeah. So he says like an average 4 or 5 year old van, transit van, it's going to have done over 100,000 miles. Most people that have a van are doing 20 to 30,000 miles a year in it.
Easy,
But your average car user is probably doing 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Well, people will buy a high mileage van because it's a work vehicle.
Yeah.
So they're obviously doing 3 times as much. So are they then going to pay 3 times as much road tax?
Yeah.
Because they're using the road more. Taxi drivers.
Yeah.
I like obviously lorries, another one.
Yeah.
Now I think they should pay a much higher tax because they damage the roads.
Yeah, definitely.
Significantly.
Yeah, definitely.
They're putting more wear and tear on. But then I was thinking, okay, well, if you're going to start taxing people by the mile, then you're potentially going to. There's a lot of people already on the verge of financial disruption and struggling. So what about like your pensioners that their car is their kind of lifeline?
Yeah.
They need it to get about, they need it to be able to interact with society, they need to go and do the shopping. If they didn't have that car, then they're going to be very isolated. So a lot of them are already struggling. They're on about taking away their winter
That's gone.
allowance. Has that gone, has it?
It's gone in Scotland as well now. So that's £200
Yeah.
that they won't get. But so basically what it's come out is that's due to Labour don't want to pay for the checks, which would be very simple. Go on HMRC, give us your audits while we've got the information. We're not going to give all these billionaires £200 that they don't need. But because we can't be bothered to do that,
they're just saying we don't want to
just
do
saying
it.
we're just basically if you earn more than £12,500 a year, you're not getting it. And it's like, well, that threshold needs to be higher, because who's to say somebody that's on 12,500 or a tiny bit more is still not living in poverty? Do you know what I mean? It just makes no sense.
Yeah. So how are they going to justify that? And then my argument would be, our roads are in such a poor state anyway.
Yeah.
Why would I pay to drive on it?
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous now that we pay the road tax and our roads are in such bad state, and also nothing's ever done. Like if I'm paying to use something, then I expect it to be decent and usable and to accommodate people. So another thing, I think we've discussed it always, like roadworks.
Yeah.
So if I'm paying more money now to use the roads, I don't want roadworks in the day.
Yeah.
Because I drive in the day, and I'm sure lots of couriers and delivery drivers and taxi drivers and this, that, and the other. Well, if they're paying more, they want to be able to. They need to earn more now.
Yeah.
So they don't want to be driving down the A34, for example, like it was the other week, and there's a lane closed off for 3 days, and there's nothing going on.
Nothing. Yeah.
So they need to start. And how are they going to monitor it? How are they going to monitor how many miles you drive? Are they going to ask you to declare it?
Yeah.
Are they going to get you to install boxes into your car, which is potentially an invasion of privacy?
I feel like the way that everything's done, usually not just with Labour, or they're just as shocking at the moment as Conservatives. They're both just embarrassing. They really are, and they're just basically trying to do a scheme to grab more cash, to punch down on people that are already at a breaking point. I don't even think they're struggling now, mate. They're at breaking point. Yeah. They're literally like, it's like when people are saying, we'll go to food banks and stuff like that, and it's the decision of feed my kids or put the heating on. Well, personally, like if I was in that situation, I'd just do both. Yeah. I don't care about owing some multi-billion-pound company $5,000. I don't care about that. I'll get that written off. But the fact is, my kids right now, they're getting a warm house, so whatever with that. But I just think at the moment there's no accountability with the government. It just seems like they're just lawless, doing what they want. And if you don't do as we say, we're going to use the law to smash you. But I've still never heard of an MP getting charged. So it's like, where's the, you make policies that make no sense. You're bringing out all these schemes that aren't thought through. It's just like, right, get some money off them. We'll sort the little things out later. Well, this is affecting businesses. This is affecting, people's way of life. This is affecting, like you say, pensioners. And at the moment, I'll be honest, they seem to be the only ones getting smashed. Like they are literally getting hammered.
Well, I was doing some research into the car tax thing, and I was thinking, well, the only thing I am aware of where your mileage is verified is when you go for an MOT every year. So what they're going to do, are they then going to try and look at your mileage and base it on an average, or are they going to retrospectively bill you? So if your car goes in for an MOT next year, they know what you did the previous year, and then they're going to say, okay, well, we know you're doing 8,000 miles a year. So, but then what happens if you don't do it?
What about if you do that out of the country?
Yeah.
How are you getting these systems when you can't even be bothered to check HMRC records?
Yeah.
So I do or don't have to pay a pensioner that's worked the whole life potentially, and I'm not going to help them out.
Yeah.
But the scary thing is, I listen to quite a few radio stations, and they call in and they say this and that, and there's a very mixed opinion on this at the moment for pensioners, and what a lot of the younger crowds, sort of 30 to 50s, what a lot of them callers were saying was, well, so what? 20, 30 years ago, they didn't get it. They were all right then. Why are they not all right now? And it's like, you're not understanding what's going wrong.
Yeah.
We live in a society where we should be looking after the old. They've worked the whole life. They should be getting some benefits. Like it or not, they're going to be dead in the next 20 years. They've retired. They're probably going to be dead in the next 20 years. Like, if we as a society that pay tax can't afford to give them this little benefit, they're on about cutting bus passes, mate.
Oh yeah,
That's
well
how
they're
bad it
cutting.
is.
Well they're cutting.
Local councils are saying, "Oh, I think we need to cut bus passes."
Yeah, well they're cutting bus routes left, right, and centre.
Exactly.
There's another
It's
company
just-
that's pulled out of another. I think it was Nantwich or Crewe or something.
Yeah.
The bus company going, "We're not doing well, we're in it.
Yeah.
Not making
And
money.
that-
We're in it."
potentially, that's somebody's route to get to
Yeah.
the shops because they don't want to drive anymore
Yeah.
because they're not.
Or they
safe.
can't afford it.
Exactly, and it's just. I think the problem with the society at the moment is it's so privatised and the government are in that much of a mess that nobody's looking to fix the problem. They just think, how can we get more money to cover the cracks? Well, there's cracks on the road, mate, so you ain't covering them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You ain't covering the cracks. All you're doing is just making it spiral and spiral and spiral. And the people that are coming into government at the moment, they're gone in 4 years. You know, this Muppet that's in power at the moment, fucking Starmer,
Yeah.
and he is a Muppet, you know what I mean? He likes to tell the world that he's not going to raise taxes for the last 2 years, and then the first thing he does is raise taxes.
Yeah.
And he likes to tell everyone that he's part of the working class because his dad was a tool maker. He is a fucking tool.
That's
Do you
what
know
you
I mean?
made.
Literally, yeah, made him. You know, and it just shows that they just give Muppets knighthoods now. Like they give it to anyone.
Yeah.
You know, and like it just, I don't really want to delve into him because he's that much of a Muppet, but you know, he's trying to do a job and it's shocking at the moment. Like he's literally done a worse job in the past 6 weeks,
Yeah.
to 8 weeks than Conservatives have done in the last 5 years.
There's another thing I saw as well, which is, again, we've spoken about it, this cashless society. So I was reading another article and it was one of the big supermarket chains has now decided to remove cash from their cafes.
But how are you allowed to do that?
Only from the cafes.
Right.
So now I don't eat in supermarket cafes, but there are a lot of people that do.
Yeah.
I have eaten in supermarket cafes. And there are a lot of people that do. And again, another one. So the case that I was reading about was a pensioner, and she was saying that she's seen this thing online where so she goes and meets like a friend.
Yeah, of course.
Once a week, and they have breakfast,
Yeah.
and it's cost effective, and they go and eat in it.
Yeah.
And she's saying, I like to use cash because it helps me to budget.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the two things that she brought up was that this supermarket is now going to stop. She was like, I don't want to use electronic methods. I want to use cash. And they're taking away my basic human rights of choice. And she was like, and it's legal tender. I shouldn't have the right to use legal tender taken away from me. But then the other one, she was saying, well, the local council have also now, there's certain services they've taken away that she can't go in and pay cash for.
Yeah.
It was something to do with her bin, like a garden bin. She has to pay. And she says, I used to just pop down when I was in town, go into the council office and pay for it for the year in cash.
Yeah.
I budgeted, I'd saved, and that's how it worked. And she said, now they've taken that away from me.
Yeah.
So she was like, now, again, I've had my right to use legal tender taken away.
Yeah.
And she's like, no one asked me. And she's obviously not alone either. There's probably lots of pensioners out there that are not as tech savvy or don't have the technology or the iPhones or whatever.
To go to the post office,
get the
draw
pension
£200-300 out for the week.
Yeah,
that's them.
And they budget, and that's how they've always done it.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. So if the government is supposed to work for the people, why is no one standing up and saying no?
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? That's the problem.
No one's standing up and saying, no, this isn't right. You can't take away legal tender. So, because there's hundreds of people that want to use it. It's like businesses, it's very easy now for people to tap with their iPhone and spend in business, which is great for business. Making it easier for people to spend money in your business is only a positive. But you lose money. So if you buy something in the store for £10, that store doesn't get £10.
Yeah. They pay charges.
They pay a charge on it. They'll pay a percentage and they'll pay like potentially a charge on it. So let's say it's 25p, plus then they'll pay another fee for having the card machine and this, that, and the other. So they're losing money every time, but the costs are going up. Cost of staff is going up, the utilities are going up, and every time someone's paying, they're not getting £10. They're getting less than what they paid, and then they're getting a charge for it.
Yeah.
If they remove cash from society, so that there's various companies out there now that offer rates, and they all try and keep it competitive. If they then remove cash and we go totally cashless, what's stopping these car companies putting your fees up to 10%? There's nothing.
Nothing.
They got you by the
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Basically, because there's nothing you can do. Because if one does it, then the other will do it. So then, if all the card companies go, okay, well, it's 10% now. Oh, I don't want to pay that. I can't afford that. Well, what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Can't take cash anymore.
Well, this is it. Yeah. So this become prevalent to me when I used quite a few small businesses, and they were basically saying, "Oh, sorry, we don't accept cash anymore." So the first thing I said was, "Why?" And they were like, "Well, we've had a couple of employees that sort of like to help themselves to the tills."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Well, that's fair enough then.
Yeah.
That's a plan in place for now." But the big one for me was when I think it was last year, I might have mentioned it before, when I went to Pizza Hut with the kids. So I took the kids to Pizza Hut and I was like, right, I've got £100 on me, I'm going to pay cash. And he was like, we can't accept cash. This was a manager.
Yeah.
I was like, why not? He's like, well, we've not even got till systems anymore.
What?
And I was like, well, I'm happy to leave.
Yeah.
And he was just like, well, you've sort of already ordered, so. And in the end, I just thought, right, the kids are the kids. They're the ones that make the rules here. You know how it is. So I sat down, but begrudgingly, I paid by card because I was like, I've got £100 in my pocket now. It's legal tender. What am I doing with it?
Yeah, and you can't spend it.
Where can I actually spend this money? Do you know what I mean? And it's just, I feel like it's definitely going that way. But these businesses aren't helping.
No, like I was saying, I can understand, like where you were saying about the people stealing, I get that.
Yeah.
It is. If you have a camera, you need to have systems in place. You need to be checking your cameras.
Yeah, it's a short-term solution.
Yeah, it's a short-term solution. It's not going to solve anything. No. But then that business is then, okay, they might have lost a tenner or 50 quid, but they're losing more than that in the long term if they add it up because they're taking card payments. Yeah. And then if the card transaction fees go up, they're then going to be moaning. They're then going to want cash, but then they won't have the systems in place to have the cash back.
Yeah.
Go on.
20 minutes.
20 minutes. That's going quick.
Yeah, going
thought you had a question for us. So yeah, that was quite. I just don't see why, because anywhere else you go in the world, they're not getting rid of cash.
No.
Like I travel to America quite a lot. I go to Dubai. You go anywhere in Europe, they all take cash. They're not discouraging you from using it.
Yeah.
Why are we over here?
Yeah.
Trying to get rid of it.
I feel like, to be honest, to look at the world, the UK, and I've heard this quite a lot from all different types of life, you know, the Americans on Facebook, and you know, you've got your Germans and all that sort of stuff, and they're all saying very similar things. The UK seems to be, at the moment, the only place in the world that's doing certain things, and they're all wrong.
Yeah.
You know, for example, you see it all the time on TV where you're letting random people in, there's no security, you know, you're not securing your own home, laws aren't followed, but they are followed. You know, there's mad stuff going on in the courts and stuff like that, and it just seems, but it's publicised all around the world as well, and the whole world's looking at the UK and going,
what a joke.
What are they doing?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
I go to America quite a lot, and I find the people there very friendly and talkative, and when you're as an English person in America, they're very interested in talking to you. So it's really nice. They're very welcoming, and most of the people I speak to, their attitudes are, I don't know why you're still in that country.
Yeah.
You've got no right to stand up. You've had your rights to protest taken away from you. They're trying to take cash away from society. Your road network, your infrastructure. It's like they build houses, then they don't build enough parking to go with houses. So you go on any new housing development now, and what do you get everywhere? Cars parked everywhere, because they don't build. They're so focused on making money and building houses and cramping them together. They're not actually thinking, okay, we're building a 5-bedroom house here. That probably needs at least parking for 3 cars, because most 4 or 5-bedroom houses are having two parents who've got a car, and one child that's probably got a car. Or in the next few years, they're going to have a car. So they need at least 3 parking spaces. But they only legally have to build 1.25. The other one is garages. They don't build garages big enough to put cars in anymore.
No, they don't. No, yeah, I've seen
it's
that.
Storage.
Yeah.
You can't put a car into a garage now. I had a friend of mine who bought a new house probably about 3 years ago, and she had a Audi Q7. Brand new house, had a long driveway which ran down the side of her house. So there was one house there was the driveway, there's her house. and she could not get her car
Into the garage.
on the drive. There was no
Even in the drive.
Not on the drive. It wasn't wide enough between the two houses, or she could get in it, but then she couldn't get out.
What was it built for then?
Well, this is what I'm saying. So cars are now bigger, but they're not building houses and parking to suffice modern cars.
Yeah.
You go to any car park. Like I went to the supermarket the other day, and I went in the X5, and I parked directly between the lines, so perfect parking. And my car at the back is on the white lines. Now, I always park out of the way because it's a big car.
Yeah.
I know if I park near the supermarket and two people park on it, I'm probably not going to be able to get in, or one of them not going to be able to get out, and there's going to be accidental damage through no one's fault of their own. They've all done everything what they should do, but because my car's bigger, it doesn't really fit. So I park out of the way. And sometimes if it's busier, I will park slightly over the line to try and discourage someone parking. And it's not because I'm being a dickhead.
No.
It's because otherwise I'm not going to be able to get in and out of the vehicle. But why should I? Do you know what I mean? Why, if cars are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which they are, why are car parking spaces not getting bigger?
Yeah, I think it comes down to choice, don't they? They just look at it and say, well, our simplest reply was get a small car.
Well, they're still using old car dimensions when they apply for planning permission. That's why.
And it makes sense because then they've
they
got
can,
more car parking
they can
spaces.
go to the council and say, oh, we're building a new Tesco here. And based on your guidelines, we can get 300 spaces in here. But the practical usage of it is actually, there's probably about 120 spaces. Really, but because they're ticking that box, well, you over the government have said that my parking spots need to be X by Y. I've done that, and I can get all them, so you can get the planning permission now. I tell you, there's another one that I'd seen this week as well, which I was really quite shocked about, and I spoke to a few other people about it. As a red-blooded male, as you are, and we are, and take this. Once you get above a certain age, our testosterone natural test levels start to drop. And there are various things you can obviously do. If it's affecting your life, you can go to the doctors, you can get your bloods done, and they can prescribe you TRT on prescription, or you can pay for it privately. And you can have synthetic tests, and you can inject it following medical guidelines, regular drugs test. And it's great. So if you're feeling fatigued, if you're feeling run down and this and the other, a lot of it is, as you're getting older, to do with lower test levels. And in America, it's a very well documented procedure to go through. As soon as you get over 30, they actually recommend that males start taking oral natural test boosters, and then if the condition worsens, they'll go and get prescribed. Did you know that they're now not prescribing injectable TRT to males over 30 in the UK? So I was talking to someone I know is going through the process, and he said, oh, they're not doing it now. There are patches and stuff that they will give you, but they won't prescribe, but they're not as strong. They will not prescribe synthetic test for you to administer yourself. And I was like, that's really weird, that is, because they do it everywhere else in the world. And then I was like, I think we've spoken to it, we have discussed it before about how the generation of males and that are becoming softer, less feminine. Alpha, more feminine. And I was like, that kind of fits into the narrative. So we've got they're promoting more vegan, vegetarian diets. And a lot of the vegan stuff contains soy and high levels of estrogen. So that's why you get a lot of crybaby vegans, because they've got too much estrogen going around in the body. Our government at the moment seems to just do whatever they want, and no one's prepared to challenge them. So how do you ensure that people are not going to stand up to you? What you do is you remove alphas from society. And what's a way of doing that? Lower men's testosterone.
Less alphas.
There's less alphas. There's less chance of people standing up. If they got estrogen, they're going to cry about it and they're going to moan about it, but they're not going to stand up and go, right, we're going to write it. And it's like it's a big conspiracy to bring these people down, make them less argumentative, make them less prone to like riot, to stand up and to stand up for their rights, because they're lowering their testosterone, which is a natural reaction. And it comes down to like what we spoke about before, like in the military, you've got leaders and you've got followers. Well, if there's no leaders, everyone's a follower.
Yeah, everyone's a sheep, and they're just running around this little pen on their own. Yeah. Yeah, it does make me wonder what. So my biggest question now, and it's sort of politics / riot related. I'm struggling with the disconnect between the government and reality, because they clearly can't live in the real world. Now, it's all good getting on national TV and saying, you know, oh yeah, it's disgusting, it's far right, it's far left, whatever. It's disgusting, these riots. Okay, we've got Muppets in society. We all know that. That's why we've got prisons. It's full of Muppets. But take them out and just look at people that are genuinely concerned with not just this immigration and all that stuff, just the way the country is. Everything from being privatized, you know, cost of living, you know, cost of, you know, food, heating your own house, you know, can't even get a mortgage because the interest rates are through the roof. Yeah. All this sort of stuff that people are worried about. You know, you've got everything from one end of the scale to can't get a job, can't get a house, to the other end of the scale, which is I'm going to be dead in 10 years and I can't even heat my own house because I'm not getting cost of living, or it's at least not taking that blow. And I think these people in sort of parliament are just that disconnected. They can't see that people are genuinely worrying that much, that they want to get on the streets and they want to go and protest. And just to get it out there, there's a massive difference in protesting and rioting. Yeah. Let that be clear. And I don't condone violence, but at the same time, I'm not that disconnected that I know that the only way that it seems to work is by people starting to be violent. Yeah. Because if you look at places like France, they riot, or places where it's like, oh, they've changed the milk and the coffee, riot, and it's just like, that's real life.
Change it back, or we're going to start burning stuff down.
And it's just like, you know, you look at any massive change in any society all through history, it happened through a revolution, or it happened through people saying, fuck this, I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. You guys at the top are taking the mick out of all of us. We're going to show you what's what. And that doesn't mean you go on the streets and you start beheading people. It doesn't mean you go on the streets and you start blowing up people's businesses. But things that actually make them listen, you know, for example, like unions, for example, you know, train strikes, NHS unions, stuff like that. Well, they're all getting what they want now. Because they're just saying, nah, do you know what? Down tools, F you, we'll do what we want. Like, until we get what we need,
we're not coming back.
We're not lost. And they're like, oh, do you know what? We actually need you. Well, I don't need Brenda down the road, though, that's living in a house that she can't afford to turn the heating on. So I don't care about her. She's voted for us anyway, because she'll always vote for Labour, because we're part of the working class. Couldn't be far from the truth. But I just feel like, what world are we living in where, yes, I get the violence and all that stuff is banged out of order, but I think the only thing that was wrong with the protests is it's not geared in the right way. There's not enough people there that have got brains to go, well, we're not bothered about this and that. You can argue all day, argue after, we don't care about that. Let's actually just focus on the main problem, and that's the government not doing what they should be doing.
Going down to your local corner shop and smashing his windows in these living,
gaining nothing.
Gaining nothing. You need to
be outside a parliamental building.
You don't need to destroy something. You don't need to cause violence. You don't need to. You have the right to stand up and be heard and state your point and say what you're doing is wrong. And as the people, you work for us. You're supposed to have our best interests, and we don't believe you have. You have a right to do that. You don't need to go down the route. The violent side, I think, is a sign of frustration.
Exactly.
It's we're not being heard. We're being downtrodden. We're not getting things going our own way. And what's a natural reaction to that is to kick out. That's what it is. If people are able to widen the views a little bit and think, okay, well, we're all not happy. Destroying stuff is not changing anything. But if we petition the government, if we stand outside government buildings, if we make our voices heard, if we organise and we get people who can represent us articulately in court and state our case, if we work together as a collective, there's more people in the UK than there is politicians, you know, and if everyone as a mass stuck together and said, okay, well, we don't agree with the increase in road tax. We don't agree with all the lack of services we're now getting from the council. So until you resolve it, we're not going to pay council tax. We're not going to pay road tax. If everybody did it, they can't come after you.
No.
The only reason they can go after people is because they stand up.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, well, there's only like one of you, so we can do something to you.
Yeah.
But if everyone did it, if everyone suddenly said, right, okay, well, let's do no council tax November. So in November, I'm cancelling my direct debit. If everyone in the country did it and they had no council tax in November, I guarantee in December, you'd have some improvements. They'd want you to be giving you the money back. They want you to be paying.
And I think that's what they prey on. They prey on people having differences.
Yeah.
They prey on, well, this person doesn't like black people. Well, this person doesn't like gay people. Well, this gay person doesn't like black people. And now before you know it, you're all arguing between each other.
They're trying to create a divide.
And this is what annoys me, that, you know, they say, oh, just go out and peaceful protest. The moment somebody sees a peaceful, and I don't mean violence, but the moment somebody sees a peaceful protest, they know what that is. A couple of people singing, shouting, drumming, you know, they've organised it through the council, they're holding up banners that nobody cares about. Like, I'm not being funny. Let's hit it where it really is. How many Palestinian marches have you had, Free Palestine, in this country in the last 6 months? Hundreds. Hundreds. They're everywhere. What's that done? Still got a government there going, we side with Israel. Well done, guys. And this is where it angers me, where I just think,
look at our own issues.
I understand the right to protest, but at what point do you stop protesting and just say, right, we're all going to gather as a mass and we're going to Parliament and we're going to sort this, and there's nothing you guys can do about it. I'm not inciting murder, hate, anything like that. I'm basically just saying, at what point do you, as a collective, as the British people, all get on one train or whatever and go down to Parliament and say, sort it, or we sort you. And by that we mean we rip you out your seats and we sit in here ourselves.
Just hit them where it hurts, in the purses.
And nobody's willing to do that currently.
Yeah.
It's too easy to silence people, because straight away, like I say, you can have a leader, and next thing you know, he's done this, he's done that, it doesn't even have to be true. But it's so easy to silence people at the moment because there's not enough people willing to stand together. That's the problem. So I will be running.
Vote Bryn
for change.
So I think we'll wrap it up then. I think thanks very much for tuning in to our experiment on our live. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok. What else are we on? YouTube. Yeah, follow us.
We don't do Facebook.
We don't do Facebook. Thanks very much for following.
Cheers, guys.
Don't forget to turn these off.